Hey, I'm Guy Powell, and welcome to the next episode of the Backstory on Marketing and AI. And if you haven't already done so, please visit prorelevant.com and sign up for all of these episodes and podcasts. And as you know, I am the author of the upcoming book, The AI Marketing Machine, and you'll be able to find out more information on that at marketingmachine.prorelevant.com. Today, I'm interviewing Vibhor Kapoor, and he's the CMO and Chief Business Officer at NextRoll. And he is leading products and partnerships and marketing and revenue for the company's B2B Rollworks and B2C AdRoll product lines. With over 30 years of experience in SaaS and cloud platforms, he has held leadership roles at Adobe, Box, and Microsoft. Wow, what a great background. So good to have you, Vibhor.
Yep, absolutely excited to be here, and thanks for such a generous introduction. Yeah, I owe it a lot to all of those organizations in terms of the experiences I've had.
Yeah, exactly. With although I don't know, I've got 30 years experience too, and I always just say, well, more than 15 years, because the number is getting bigger and bigger. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, but it keeps you up to say, wow, I've spent so many years. I better have a good perspective in terms of where the world is heading, and looking forward to our conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I'm me too, and I know you're going to have a great perspective. So before we get started, what is your backstory on how you got involved in AI and got into marketing?
Yep, absolutely. Happy to share that. So, firstly, I'm not a career marketer. I started as an engineer. I spent a lot of time in sales. I spent a lot of time in commercial operations, and I spent time building digital products. But it was about 15 years back where I kind of had this revelation that the world was becoming such a digital first place. And specifically, marketing and sales was going to get powered by data and signals and all the intelligence that we had access to. So I had a pretty significant career pivot, and I decided that I'm going to invest my career in marketing. And you go through these kind of inflection points several times in your career. And I remember coming out and saying, okay, I think marketing is going to be perfect balance of data, analytics, creativity, and driving business growth. And I want to be part of it. So that's kind of my backstory in terms of how I got into marketing with sort of an AI lens, which at that point in time we called it as data and intelligence. I would say I got really deep into it in one of my last gigs at Microsoft, where I built a new demand engine from scratch, which is sort of the early days of account-based marketing. We did not have this term in those days. I'm going almost a decade back, and this was mostly a concept. And I led a skunkworks effort inside of Microsoft where the idea was, hey, how do you get intelligent intent signals from every activity that an account or a contact is having? And how do you bring it together and analyze it, understand it, and be able to do a better job of bringing relevant messages to your customers and to your audiences, whether you're trying to expand them or whether you're trying to acquire them? That was my big breakthrough moment where I said, wow. And I actually had data scientists on my team. So I would say that was my second inflection point as it comes to the backstory of marketing and AI.
Yeah, and that account-based marketing and then intent, man, when you can figure that out, what a way to target your resources to make sure you're hitting the most likely to close in the shortest amount of time and hopefully, for a high dollar value as well. Fantastic. Um,
Yep.
yeah, so tell us about NextRoll. What's going on there?
Yep, absolutely happy to do that. So as a first, NextRoll is a marketing and advertising company. What we do is we work with performance marketers using an advertising technology, and our primary goal is to help them drive sustainable growth. And I think one of the things we take a ton of pride in is we want to do it in a way that you build trust with your audiences. So trust is a very core principle for us as we help marketers go drive growth. Now, we've been around for about 15 years, and we have two different product lines. We have AdRoll for business to consumer, which is where, let's say you are a shoe company, yoga mat company, you have, a jewelry company or a healthcare company, and you want to really drive growth from a consumer. That's what AdRoll focuses on. We also have a product line called Rollworks, which is where we help B2B brands find new customers. And that's where, you have a buying committee, you have an account, you have different contacts within an account that you're trying to engage. And this might be a technology company, you might be an industrial automation company where, you're really buying something on behalf of your business. We have two different product lines. And what we have at our core is the capability of understanding data and user behavior and being able to drive programmatic advertising across all channels. The way we think about ourselves is a full funnel, multi-channel marketing platform. So we're thinking about all stages of the funnel, whether it's upper funnel marketing or performance marketing. And we're thinking about all channels where you're talking about web, native, display. You're also talking about social, and then increasingly the new channels that we have, whether it's connected TV, digital out of home, or audio. So that's what we are at our core.
Yeah, fantastic. And that complexity and it seems to be getting maybe not necessarily complex from a channel type perspective, but certainly there's so many CTV channels and then there's so many, digital and social and then the potential changes with TikTok and what have you makes a lot of sense. And you need a software that can support you across all those channels. So how is AI going to be working with you guys? How are you integrating that into what you're doing?
Yep, absolutely. Happy to talk about that. And there's one way to look at it and say, hey, how do I integrate AI into my platform? But I'd like to believe that we are AI native. We are AI first. And I'll share a little bit more detail in terms of what do I mean by that. We started about 15 years back. And over the last 15 years, we have collected a lot of data about user behavior, and we've done it in a privacy forward manner. This is data that's based on cookies, this is based on first party data, and this is based on other identifiers. And what we do is we take the power of that data and we use that for driving advertising. In driving advertising, you have to be able to make predictions. As an example, you may come back and say, hey, I'm trying to look for people like me who like to wear a red sweater. And my cost per acquisition or the cost per million impressions, classic marketing KPIs, are X. We have a bidding algorithm that we have built from scratch which can look at your performance parameters and is going to try and fulfill that in all the advertising inventory and the channels that exist out there. That requires a deep level of sophistication. And we have built that over the last 15 years. So it's really, we did not have to go and integrate AI into it. It has AI at its core. Let me give you some interesting data points. We make 150 billion buyer predictions every day. These are predictions to say, hey, I have Vibhor out there. He's interested in X, Y, or Z topic. And you have a certain performance KPI. Vibhor is browsing this website, is on this channel. And can I really fulfill that ad impression or that click? And that's the prediction we do. That's more predictions in a day than New York Stock Exchange. So it's really less for me about, hey, how do I integrate AI on the marketing and advertising platform that we've built? It's more about how do I take it to the next level? That's where we are spending a lot of our time. So I kind of think about us as, we are AI. It's about taking the next step with all these advancements that we have had with large language models and generative AI.
Yeah, and these, it is amazing what you can do with them and how that can, really get down to kind of the next level of capability. You have analytic AI or machine learning, and that gets you, incredibly far. And but then now to take the large language models and really be able to take all of your activities to the next level. So how do you see then AI in playing a role in overall marketing strategy and certainly cross-channel activities and attribution, and then even, of course, optimizing our campaign performance?
Yep, absolutely. We think a lot about that, and that's core to a lot of the product capabilities that we are building. So maybe I'll start a little bit with some of the capabilities we already have in our platform, and then I will maybe contextualize it with an example and talk about what we are building next, or at least paint a picture of what could be possible. So today we already have core technologies in our platform. One of them I was mentioning briefly earlier, but maybe a little bit more color. We have something called BidIQ. What BidIQ does is looks at billions of bid requests and make, precise, impactful predictions about impressions that we want to deliver for our customers. And this we do very effectively because a lot of our customers tend to be smaller customers. We've been very core to mid-market and SMB, and we are able to make those predictions even with smaller data sets because websites of smaller businesses tend to be having less monthly unique visitors. So BidIQ is our bidding technology, which we've built over the last 15 years. In the last couple of years, and I should say in the last 5 years, we've also built what we call InIQ. It's basically Insights IQ. And what we do here is we gather intent signals and in-market data specifically for our B2B customers, where let's say someone is demonstrating intent by being in a review site, by being in a certain product page. And what we do is we take those intent signals and we try to accelerate the engagement with that account. So we already have solved those problems, gathering intent data and doing, using machine learning and AI in our bidding technology. Now, okay, with that as the baseline, you'd say, okay, where is the world headed next? And I always look for analogies because they help you contextualize. We've been talking about autonomous driving for a fairly long time right now. And just as, a benchmark, when you are at level 0, level 1 driving in terms of autonomous vehicles, you're really talking about the driver having the control of the vehicle. Or maybe you're talking about an automated system which has sensors, which helps you not steer away from your lane, or maybe be able to do a level of park assist. So today, when I see a lot of the technology that is being embraced, it seems to be in that realm, right? You are really in a co-pilot or an assist mode where you are recommending in a marketing context that I can tell you what's your most informant campaigns. We were talking about full funnel and multi-channel marketing. And if you go to a marketer's dashboard today, they have running sometimes hundreds of campaigns. Each campaign may be localized to a certain market with a different reach, frequency, or a marketing KPI. And it is humanly very hard for you to understand how do you do budget shifts, which campaigns are performing, right? So I think where we are today is, hey, what's my best performing campaign? And that's sort of low autonomy, human assisted, co-pilot like an experience. And a lot of the industry players are really building that, and that's fantastic. Now, let's take it to the other end of the spectrum. Again, as it comes to driving, you're talking about high level of autonomy where there is high automation. The car can drive on its own. You are probably having lunch or reading your favorite publication on a digital device, right? That's full autonomy where you've given it full control. And I think that's the other end of the spectrum. I compare that to a world where your tools, your marketing and advertising tools, are able to autonomously make decisions, which is, I've seen that you have low reach relative to the size of the audience on campaign A, and you are hitting your cost per acquisition goal. I think I can shift budget autonomously from campaign B to campaign A or from an excess pool because I know I can reach more audiences, right? That's what we are talking about in terms of higher levels of autonomy. So I really think our world is going to progress from a world where it's really saying, hey, this is the best performing campaign that you have, to saying, I think you should move your dollars from campaign A to campaign B, to a state where you're saying, I already know based on historical data and predictive trends that this campaign is going to perform better and there is enough reach, and let me shift the budget for you. So I think that's the progression I see in our world as it comes to marketing and advertising. And I think it's going to be really relevant in cross-channel marketing, which is what we take a lot of pride in. We give our customers the ability to be able to see performance of their campaigns and be able to attribute the impact that they have across each channel. And that's a critical input into making those decisions, right? You don't want to shift budget from one channel to the other till you understand the attribution. So it's kind of that's the holy grail that we are driving towards.
Yeah, and that autonomous, I mean, humans can certainly do that, but it's more of it could be even, more of a minute to minute or hour by hour kind of a shift on a tactical side, and certainly there's some strategic capabilities there. I think the other thing, and maybe you could talk to this as well, is how you mix the upper funnel and the lower funnel activities so that you can optimize, more or less across both levels in the funnel.
Absolutely. And again, that's one thing we work very closely with our customers on. Depending on what's your level of awareness in the market, your marketing mix might be very different. If it's a product or a service that you have where you are early in the market or the market is nascent, your marketing mix is going to be more leaning into upper funnel, like marketing fundamentals, right? And there too, you may have variability from being in market one, let's say geography one to geography two. And I think that's another opportunity where AI can be your assistant, your co-pilot in terms of making recommendations for you in terms of how your marketing mix is between upper funnel and lower funnel. We certainly have built our products for both stages of the funnel. If you think about the world, which is where we will have less cookie-based tracking in the future, you need to build technologies where you can understand audience behavior based on the context of where we are. So for upper funnel specifically, we have contextual targeting. And what we do is we use natural language processing to understand the cost of what's on this website. And I think that's critical for our customers as they decide, okay, I want to reach audiences that are interested in
Mm.
these topics. So it's less intrusive from a privacy standpoint, but still gives you enough signals that your marketing and your messages are relevant for what you're doing. So I think in contextual targeting, we use a lot of natural language processing, and I think that's where a lot of the AI innovation is. And then in lower funnel marketing, where a lot of remarketing and retargeting happens, you are looking for intent signals. You're looking for enough intent signals. This is back to in IQ that we were talking about, so that you can progress the user, the buyer through the journey. So yeah, that's how we think about sort of AI and progressing the user through the full funnel marketing strategy that I was talking about.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and certainly AI, it's just a lot easier. I don't know, easier, but certainly faster and just better, I guess, overall. So that absolutely makes a lot of sense. Do you have any feel for without naming a client, of course, but like a case study or what their benefit was in implementing some of these capabilities that you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually with a customer just recently, I would say less than 24 hours back, where they are a technology company and they are trying to reach technology decision makers. And they've seen a ton of impact in terms of being able to understand the performance of their campaigns and which channels are driving their campaigns and being able to use those insights to shift their budgets. I see this on a very regular basis. The other places where I've seen customers get really excited is when you're able to take the intelligence of web interactions that customers are having. I'm on New York Times or CNN.com or maybe any other publication, and then you're able to associate them with the activity that you're doing in other channels, whether it's on mobile devices, whether it's on connected TV. I think that's another place where I have customers that are coming to me and saying, wow, I'd love to do that, which is give more relevant advertising on connected TV, because today a lot of the connected TV advertising works very much like the 1960s, 70s, which is spray and pray. And I'm not a dog household, I'm not a cat household, but I see so many cat and dog ads when I'm watching streaming TV, and I wonder, like, okay, these are dollars going down the drain. And I think there's so much more. The level of personalization that you have now on web, there is so much opportunity to bring that same level of personalization to connected TV. So that's another area where we're
Mm.
doing a lot of work with our customers, where they come and say, oh, this is so meaningful for me. So I would say making trade-offs in budget and shifting budgets to high performance campaigns, which is back to cross-channel
Mm.
attribution and performance, and then being able to dynamically or in a human assisted form, move budgets to channels that are high performant based on better understanding of user behavior is where I see a lot of customer successes where they get delighted with what we are working with them on.
Yeah, well, and I
And
think the probably the best audience though for you is dogs and cats with wearing red sweaters. That right there, you would get such good response. It's hard to believe.
that is totally true. I do have one family member, without naming them and putting them on the spot, that is going completely crazy. They're completely their Instagram reels are full of cat content.
Yep, yep, yep. Well, cats, I will admit, funny cats. It's hard to beat them. They're kind of like entrancing. So, but nevertheless, you mentioned a dirty word, and that was third-party cookies. And even though it's kind of stalled, it's kind of halfway there. Apple isn't doing it, but Google is kind of doing it. I can't even figure out what's going on. So tell us about what you're doing as it relates to the impact of potentially losing all of our third-party cookies.
Yep, absolutely. And I think you put it very well, Guy. It can sometimes be called a dirty word, but I really think that I've said this in other forums too. I really think that this whole divide between privacy and being too intrusive from a data tracking standpoint to marketing, I think this divide is overstated. I really think, and we've done surveys around this, and there are other third-party independent surveys around this which say if you provide relevant content, users are willing to share their data about what interests them. So I think it's really about content relevance. And when I say content, I'm talking about a blog post, I'm talking about an article, I'm talking about this kind of a podcast, I'm talking about a product, right? At the end of the day, you are offering a relevant message or a story. And so I really do think that there is value in relevance, but you have to do it in a privacy forward manner. And we were very early in recognizing this, and we've been working very closely with Google on this for several years. I think 5+ years back, Google spun off an effort. It's called the Privacy Sandbox Initiative. And this was the initiative where they said, hey, we're going to deprecate third-party cookies, and we'd like to build the next generation of technology where you can still understand audience behavior and you can measure your conversions and understand attribution even when third-party cookies go away. So we have, and this a lot of this was spawned by the requests from Competitive Markets Authority and some of the other regulatory authorities. So we've been working with them for the last 5 years. We actually we have rebuilt our bidding technology, which does not rely on third-party cookies and is able to engage audiences in a privacy-forward manner. We are among the early testers of that technology with Google. In fact, we were one of the only testers in several categories, and we submitted our results to the Competitive Markets Authority, our own results. And so I think we've really taken a lot of future forward steps. We aren't stopping there. Certainly, when third-party cookies go away, you will lose fidelity and signal. So you need to build these technologies like I was talking about with the privacy sandbox from Google. So we're building that, but we are also working with other alternative identifiers because at the core of it, what we have is advertising technology where we have our homegrown built ML tech. And what we also have is our own identity solution. And we want to make sure our identity solution maintains fidelity in the future. So that identity solution now is privacy sandbox ready, third-party cookie proof, and it's augmented with other identifiers. And then we were talking about natural language processing in the contextual sense and in the contextual targeting sense. And that's, again, one area which is sort of future-proofing our technology in the post third-party cookie world. We are not stopping there. So we've worked with Google. We've got our own identity solution that is third-party cookie proof. But what we are also doing is we're working with other players in the industry. So there are many audience data companies, and what we're doing is we're working with them in terms of launching products where those audience data that they have are third-party cookie proofed. We, in fact, just announced earlier, there's a company called Audigent, and we have just launched an audience activation using the Google Privacy Sandbox technology with them. And we already have multi-million impressions that we have delivered over tens of thousands of domains with them. So we are working technology and we want to be privacy forward. As I said, that's one fundamental principle that our founders and our leadership team, including me, have embraced.
Definitely sounds like there's some interesting things coming out that way, and this the Google Privacy Sandbox, and then the deprecation of third-party cookies. That's got to be a big piece of what you're doing. So where do you see then AI generally fitting into your future and your clients' future as it relates to really driving their campaign performance?
Yep, absolutely. And maybe I'll just reframe this a little bit as I respond. I really think if you just step back and you've been in the marketing space for such a long time and you've written amazing content, Guy, at its core, marketing is really about creating content and then communicating that through channels. A lot of this has changed over the decades that we've been in the industry. So we talked a lot today about the transformation that's happening in terms of understanding intent signals, taking the data, using large language models, and being able to make the marketer more sophisticated in terms of the campaigns they run and the autonomy at which they optimize those campaigns. That's great. But at the core of it, with another place where there's significant innovation is content creation, right? I'm sure you've had guests who've come and talked about all the innovation that's happening in terms of creating content in all formats. We're talking about imagery, we're talking about video, we're talking about text-based content, including podcasts and any other core content that you have. So I think there is innovation that's going to happen in that. There is innovation certainly at its core in terms of taking the data signals and being able to optimize campaigns, as we have talked about. But one thing that's not lost on me is the value of authentic storytelling. I think and specifically, I've been in the technology industry, I think there's always technical mumbo jumbo that comes and overtakes the conversation. And I think the value of marketing is going to evolve into taking all that content and creation innovation, all the campaign optimization innovation, but pairing it with authentic storytelling, where you really are still able to appeal to the heart, mind, and soul of the audience. And I think that's not going away. And that's where I think the marketing world is going to shift. It's kind of going back to where it was in the pre-digital days, right? So I think that value is going to get elevated. I also think, just at a meta level, the beauty of AI in marketing is personalization at scale. We've gone through a cycle in our world where there was just one opinion. And I think there is many authors and theorists that talk about there's no monoculture. And we live in a world which is very diverse. There are diverse perspectives, there are different choices, there are lots of options. And with the fact that no monocultures exist, and we are in a vibrant, diverse world, and the advent of AI is really doing personalization at scale. So for me, what gets me excited on Monday morning, and I work from home, so I would have said other and drive my car 80 miles per hour, not breaking any traffic rules. It is basically the opportunity with personalization at scale. I think that's unprecedented, and I think I will call on all marketing leaders to think that way, and hopefully that excites them as much as it does for me.
Yeah, I agree with you that personalization at scale, and unfortunately, I haven't figured out because there's no question that the value is there, but the challenge that I've seen, at least so far, is the AI that you get that gets generated, let's say for an individual, still has to be read by somebody or checked by somebody. And that's maybe just the state of the technology today, maybe the state of the art, 2 or 3 years from now, it'll be so good that you'll be able to trust it. And the other thing though is, and that trust, unfortunately, especially in a regulated industry or, like financial or healthcare, you got the lawyers and the lawyers want to read everything. And just to make absolutely sure, it would seem like somebody, and I don't know, maybe somebody's working on it, is how do you, in order to get that personalization at scale, how do you get the legal oversight at scale as well? And at some point, one thing that I was talking about yesterday at this event I was at is that people make mistakes too. Yet we expect technology to be 100% totally buttoned up, can't make an error.
Such a
And people make mistakes, and even in a huge way. When I think about some of the mistakes that I've made or my team has made, you go, "Oh man!" And yet we're trying to hold the technology at a higher standard. And I don't know, any thoughts on that, or?
That's such a great perspective. I absolutely agree with you. I really think that we will be in a human-assisted but high autonomous world for a long time. And I've got no crystal ball, and I've been wrong many times in my life, like several of us have been. But I do think we'll be in a human-assisted mode, and I think that's the power. You're creating higher level of autonomy, but you're still having human oversight of those decisions. I think your point about legal oversight is a fair one too. I think about that too, and I think about it more from the context of human biases that exist. And I think that's the one that worries me the most. Over reliance on large language models, which are trained based on the biases that exist in our data. You don't want that to become an echo chamber. I don't have a crystal ball or a solution for that, but I would say in terms of the perils, we often talk about biases, and certainly in industries which are more sensitive or regulated, and you called out healthcare and financial services. So that's a huge challenge. Don't have a solve for it, but I'm almost acknowledging the problem in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, and hopefully something will come up on that because the opportunity is there. And certainly, the opportunity has to be large enough that it doesn't, with the risk of a breach or the risk of some PII or HIPAA data getting exposed is less than that gain there or something, because at some point, the human is going to make a mistake. There is no question. And I actually, yesterday, I was moderating a panel, and there was a woman from marketing and healthcare, and they made that mistake. And luckily, they were able to claw it back in time. And that was all human. I mean, it was AI driven, but it was still human oversight still allowed it to pass through. And I don't know. So hopefully, at some point, maybe we'll start to realize that we don't have to hold technology to that 100% standard.
That's what we do in our next podcast. Have the learnings from it for the next few months, and then and revisit that topic. I'll give it a deep thought as well.
Yeah, well, what let's put the transcripts of this into Chat GPT and see what it says. Absolutely. So anyway, we're just about done, but I do have one last question for you, and that is, what advice would you give a new and upcoming new marketer that's just coming onto the market, just got out of school and ready to and raring to go and getting their teeth into something really cool?
Yep, yep. That's great. I would say maybe two things. I'll cheat here if I said one, but I'll say two. I think being very strong in your fundamentals of marketing, if you're getting into marketing, is key. And yes, there is fantastic technology revolution that's happening right now, powered by AI. But build a strong set of fundamentals because they are the core with which you'll think about it. Don't underestimate the value of understanding human psychology and what drives and motivates the brain, because I think that's at the heart of any great storytelling, back to what we were saying. And then I would say kind of more of a horizontal skill, which is the ability to manage change and adapt is going to be fundamental for any professional, and even more so, I think, for a marketing professional. So I would give them two then. I would say build strong fundamentals in human psychology and what motivates and drive
Mhm.
people, critical to marketing. And second, build a great degree of adaptability because change is the only constant.
Yeah, yeah. Let me push back on you that change is constant. I think that's slightly untrue. I think change is accelerating. Maybe the acceleration of change is constant. There's kind of like that next level because with AI, oh man, the change just it's just exploding right in front of our face.
I like that. I really do like that. Acceleration of change is the only constant. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. Really good.
Well, I'm going to have to then trademark that. I don't know. Well, Vibhor, so much to think about, and thank you so much. It's really some really good insights there, and it is from marketers' perspective. It is all about how can I do my job better, get higher quality, and then drive more sales. And certainly, what you're doing is makes a lot of sense. How can folks reach out to you and reach you and learn more about you, and also, of course, NextRoll?
Absolutely. So you can go to adroll.com. That's ADROLL.com. You can go to rollworks.com, which is our B2B product line, ROLL works.com. And then I'm very active on LinkedIn. So please hit me up on LinkedIn. And it is basically slash Vibhor. I was very early member to sign into LinkedIn, so I didn't have to have any other characters in my name. So
Very
yes,
nice.
hit me up on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it is funny how you get in there early and then man, you make you got something for that's actually valuable, 20, 30 years from now.
Yeah. I'm not Vibhor K 93 point hashtag or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Vibor, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And for the audience, of course, please stay tuned for more videos in this series of the backstory on marketing and AI. And if you'd like to, please go to marketingmachine.prorelevant.com and download the some excerpts on my upcoming book, The AI Marketing Machine. Again, Vibhor, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Excellent. Looking forward to reading that book too. Thank you, Guy, for having me. Bye now.
Absolutely. Thank you.